Hey guys, it's Phil from the Retro Games News, here with another Commodore 64 review. A game called Automania, which came out way back when in 1984 from a UK-based company called Microgen, from a little town called Bracknell. This game had an alternative title of Manic Mechanic, but I guess maybe it's a bit similar to Manic Miner, and bearing in mind this is a platformer as well. I suppose they didn't really want to be seen as trying to rip them off, although just about everybody else used to rip people off in those days. But this was the first in a series of games that came out, starring Wally is his name, Wally Week. He's the head of the Wally family, well, head of the Week family, I suppose. After this, he had a game called Pyjamarama, which is actually a very, very good game. Maybe I'll review that at some point. A lot more depth to it. And after that, even more ambitious was Everyone's a Wally, which sported a rather interesting soundtrack recorded by a guy called Mike Berry, who was in a rather dodgy British program called Are You Being Served? And then last in the series was a game called Herbert's Dummy Run, which plays the part of Wally's little nipper, which I've never actually played, believe it or not. I never got round to picking that one up, so maybe I'll fire up the emulator and have a look at that at some point. This game, as well as on the 64, also came out on the Spectrum. The two versions look pretty identical. I suppose maybe the 64 is going to have slightly better music, but apart from that, they both play pretty much the same. In fact, it's one of the few games that on a Commodore that you can play with a keyboard, whereas most of them tended to be joystick controlled. And like I say, you play the part of Wally, pretty much an everyday kind of British worker, working in a car factory. I suppose the difference now is we haven't got any left. Well, certainly they're not owned by British companies. They would also going to be owned by Japanese companies or American, German, etc. But this is back in the good old 80s, and it's Wally's job, as you can see, to assemble the parts of the car together to build a complete car, which finally gets driven off at the end of each level. Now that would be relatively simple if it wasn't for the fact that you have to avoid bouncing tyres and kind of rogue 8-bit computers running about, and also you can see you've got oil cans and kettles and all other manner of objects. The nice thing about it is, as you complete each level, the actual car that you're manufacturing changes, and also the layout of the screen changes to a degree. And also the kind of objects and creatures that you have to avoid. On this particular part here, as you can see, we've got these cooling fans that are also quite deadly. Adds a bit of a random element to the game, because you never really know where they're going to drop down from. Obviously the tyres and the computers are a little bit more predictable, but with those things coming down, they could all come down when you're already halfway up the ladder. And then underneath you, you've got the tyres and stuff below you, so that sometimes there can be no escape, and you've got no choice other than to forfeit a life. Also, you can see here I'm probably being a bit chicken, but I just find that route going around the top is a little bit easier than trying to time the jump over that BP can. But like I say, not a bad game, quite good fun. The only thing I will say is it's maybe a little bit repetitive. I can remember having a lot of fun playing this game back in the day, but I have to admit, when I was playing this in order to show you the full demo, in fact the first time I played it I fluffed it and I got to the last part of the car and I got killed, so I've just had to do the whole bloody thing again. And I have to be honest, it's not actually the most enjoyable experience ever. So while it was quite good fun to play back in 1984, not so sure if it stood the test of time as good as some cars. So I'm just looking at the car there as I'm talking at the same time. As some games. Well, talking about the car, answers on a postcard or leave a comment. But I think that is either a 2CV or it could be a bad drawing of a Beetle. The car after this is a Mini. Some people might know that more as Mr. Bean's car, but oh my god, I actually died. Quite often, the only way that you died in this game was if you got impatient and rather than waiting to time the jumps, you just took a leap of faith and ended up plummeting to your death. Or sometimes, if you're being a bit impatient with the tyres, you can actually jump over the tyre while walking in the same direction as the tyre, but it's a lot better for it to kind of change direction before jumping over it. It's a lot easier to clear. This game got a rather generous 88% from Crash magazine. I can't remember what it got in Zap. I guess I could have looked it up, but I remember the Zap guys being a little bit more critical, a bit more harsh with their scoring, so quite possibly got less. Again, if you know, feel free to comment. On the other hand, I'm going to give this again a slightly generous 82%. There you go. So that's yeah, that looks very much like a 2CV to me. Just show a little bit of the next level. I suppose I should have asked you to guess what the car is just from the parts, but I've already blown it. But as you can see, the levels varied quite nicely on the second level, so it definitely adds a new challenge. Lots of kind of playability. And there you go, I'm dead. So yeah, Automania, 82%.